Morning, guys. Happy Monday. I don't have much of a voice, as you can hear. I am dealing with a bit of a sinus infection, so I love that for me. That's also why I'm wearing my glasses. But I'm kind of digging the glasses. Anyways, I'm not going to talk very long because of my voice, but we are on chapter 15 of the reread, so let's get into it. And just like that, I have finished the reread of Project Spellrunner, which is pretty exciting. I knew that it would kind of go quick towards the end because, like I said, there's not a lot of showing or anything in the last few scenes. So yeah, I have my reverse outline, so I know what happens in each chapter, and now, since I have until the 10th to work on this, I can go in and work on brainstorming the new outline. And my plan is to have this outline ready to go so that I can rewrite Spellrunner during Camp Nano in April. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge because I am also going to be drafting episode 1 of When We Were Legends, but I think I'm doing that in March, but I think that is only going to be around 3,000 to 5,000 words, probably on the lower end of that because it is a serial. So yeah, I don't think it's going to take me as long. Like, I don't think it's going to take me the whole month to write the first draft of that. If anything, I think I'll have a couple iterations by the end of the month. So I'm going to use the rest of this week to brainstorm and outline and see where we are on the 10th when it's time for me to switch projects. So that's where we're at for Monday. Hey guys, so this morning I'm feeling a little bit better, thankfully. Not really. I'm trying. But this morning I wasn't sure what I was going to work on, and so I just pulled out my I just dropped it on the floor. I wasn't sure what I was going to work on. So this morning when I came upstairs, I just pulled out my copy of Save the Cat Writes a Novel, and figured that I would kind of just go through the beats and kind of write down like everything that I know happens. Like, after reading the story and doing some brainstorming yesterday, or rereading the first draft and doing some brainstorming yesterday, like I realized what the new inciting incident was going to be. So I started there, by outlining the catalyst, and then kind of went back, did a little bit about like what I want to happen in the setup, and just kind of, you know, went through that way. So I am, with the exception of like the beginning, I have some notes for the setup, I have the catalyst, I have some notes for the debate, I have some notes for break into two. I know what the B story is going to be, I just don't know how to tie that in yet. And then I have started working on the fun and games section, which is where like the race is actually going to take place. I realized as I was reading that like the race happens way too far at the end. So yeah, I was like, it needs to be structured like way more like the Hunger Games, where, you know, like the Hunger Games, the actual Hunger Games start during the fun and games section. And if you're curious, I will leave a link to the Save the Cat beat sheet for the Hunger Games novel, because I think it's really interesting to look at. I'm a little concerned that my plot is very similar to the Hunger Games, but I think it's different enough that, you know, it'll work. So yeah, that's what I did this morning. So I have pretty much gotten to the midpoint, except for those couple things at the beginning, which I probably won't touch until I kind of know what I'm working with for the rest of the stuff. I think there's going to be some stuff that I can pull from draft one, from the original draft, for this, but I'm excited to kind of just get some rough notes the rest of this week on outlining for draft two, and then kind of let it percolate and think of, you know, some more ideas, brainstorm that while I'm drafting episode 1 of When We Were Legends. And hopefully I'll be ready to tackle draft 2 of this, which is essentially just going to be a complete redraft. So can I even call it draft 2? I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to write this in April. That's the plan. Hello friends, it has been a couple days. Actually, I think it's only been one day. I took yesterday off because I was just feeling really, really terrible. Today I'm feeling much better, so hopefully yesterday was the worst of this sinus infection. Yeah, so back into re-outlining Spellrunner. And I actually think taking a day and stepping away from it was really helpful because I had reworked the inciting incident and some character backstory, and I think I have found a way to push that like even a step further and incorporate it more into like the setup and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm not going to talk too long because I got back late from dropping off the kiddos, so I want to get to work so I can get as much done as possible before I have to start my work. So yeah, I'm going to just hop right into writing. There are a couple things that I'm struggling with. One is that am I just writing the Hunger Games? Because yes and no. But so my first struggle is how do I make this different than the Hunger Games? I mean, it's a race. It's not like just about survival. You also have to win the race. There's teams involved. But the other part of that is that it's a race, but I'm trying to make it like multi-day. So when I think about it, I think about like the Amazing Race. They have like trials and stuff set up along the way, and like checkpoints and that sort of thing. And in the original draft, I had drafted it with them having checkpoints in the outline. I didn't end up writing any of that. So I'm really struggling with how to make this work while raising the stakes and still keeping the tempo. Because like in the Scorpio races, for example, the race is the finale. Like that's, and so originally I had thought that I wanted it to be more like that, where like the race is just like the last couple chapters of the book, and it's really quick and fast paced. But I'm realizing now that it might make more sense for the story for it to be played out like the Hunger Games, where it starts, you know, the race starts during the fun and games section, which is when the Hunger Games, you know, like Katniss actually gets raised into the arena, etc. That happens in the fun and games before the midpoint. So, because the midpoint happens during the Hunger Games itself. So since the premise of this book really heavily reflects on the race, I'm thinking that I should go with the... So for like the Scorpio races, I think the premise, while the race is important, I think the premise of that book is more about the creatures that are involved. And the world is really the premise. I don't know. And now I'm like, maybe I should make this not a kite race. Maybe I should just have magical horses of my own. I think that's another story that I might write some other day. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of like struggling a little bit. But this is the last day probably that I'm going to work on Spellrunner. Because according to my table, my timeline, let me show you my Notion. So according to my Notion, I am supposed to be writing the first arc of When We Were Legends, starting on March 10th, which I'm not going to get to do much writing because the kids are out of school, so I don't actually think I'll be starting this until the 13th. But yeah, and I also don't think it's going to be the whole first arc. I think it might just be episode 1 because that's all I have outlined right now. Which will give me some time to go back to working on Spellrunner. So yeah, juggling projects right now. But that's fine because I have a lot of ideas for one and not a lot of ideas for the other. So yeah, I don't know. That's just where we are right now. I know that like revisions take a lot of work and writing is rewriting and all that fun stuff. And I'm trying not to get discouraged about where this story is at, because clearly I haven't actually nailed down the story yet. And so I'm trying to not give up on it too soon, but at the same time, I'm like, is this worth my time and energy to do this? So yeah, that's where we're at. Hope you enjoyed this writing vlog. I don't know if there'll be anything else after that. This So I'll go ahead and say a quick outro here. I hope you enjoyed this weekly writing vlog. Let me know how your writing projects are going in the comments. If you have any advice, suggestions, whatever, hit me with them. Are you prepping for Camp Nano? Are you gonna do Camp Nano? All those things. Let's chat about them. So I'll see you guys in the next one.
So when you're leaving tomorrow,